I worked for 3 months for a bank, and I came home and I was crying to my mother, and I was like, am I supposed to wear these pumps and these pantyhose and listen to these people tell me what to do till I die? And she was like, oh, darling, we forgot to tell you about the real world. But I just kind of knew, like, this is not my story.
Welcome to Onward and Upward with Leslie E. Royal. I'm Leslie, and I will be interviewing exceptional African American women who have made an amazing difference in their local and global community. One such exceptional woman is Kristin, who is the owner of the Josephine Hotel and the 6 Acres Bed and Breakfast Inn. Welcome, Kristin. It's a pleasure having you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to have this interview.
Well, it is indeed an honor to have you, and indeed my pleasure. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. It's 2:00, so I thank you all for giving me a minute to get it all together because I thought it was at 10 and I panicked. So I had time to put on some makeup.
Well, that is quite all right. Thank you so very much. You are absolutely beautiful. Your
Thank you.
clothing is absolutely perfect. And
Thank
we're
you.
just excited about having you as one of the guests on Onward and Upward with Leslie E. Royal.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
A pleasure, a pleasure. Yes, indeed. Well, I was really excited about this interview because it's not every day that you meet an African American woman who owns a hotel. And we have been so excited about you.
Thank you. Thank you. It has been a long journey, but I've been in the hotel industry for 17 years. 17? Yeah, 17 years now. So thank you.
I
It has been a
love
long journey.
and we want to hear about the journey. You will be you already inspire others. And let me ask you, Kristin, you've been investing in real estate for some time. How long have you been investing?
I would say 25 years so far. Yeah, it's been a while. I started out with owning my own little business when I first got out of college. And at Christmas time, we would make a lot of money. So I would buy a piece of property and then, have tenants and make a little extra money. And then, every year it would just get bigger and bigger. And so then after 5 or 7 years, I was able to retire. So I had 40 tenants and, this wonderful little business, but I was bored because I was only 30 something years old. So somebody told me to buy this big old wonderful house and turn it into a bed and breakfast. So, that's what ended up happening. So, yeah.
Wow. Oh my goodness, Miss Kristin. I love it. I love it. You started at 22, did you say?
Yeah. So as soon as I got out of college, I started my own business. I worked for 3 months for a bank, and I came home and I was crying to my mother, and I was like, am I supposed to wear these pumps and these pantyhose and listen to these people tell me what to do till I die? And she was like, oh, darling, we forgot to tell you about the real world. But I just kind of knew, like, this is not my story. So I quit my job, and I had already started a little business. And I quit my job and just said, I'm going to sink or swim. And my thought process was, if I fail, the worst that can happen is I'll be all over it by the time I'm 30, right? So I was like, I'm just going to jump in. And I was one of those lucky people that the darn thing worked. I had $1,000 from a graduation gifts and enough foolishness to think that that was enough to start a company. It worked. It worked. So I owned that business. It was a clothing store, handmade clothing store, for 11 years. But it was, annually it allowed me to get into the real estate market so I could eventually, I sold it when I bought the 6 acres property.
Wow, what a wonderful success story. And
Yes.
tell me, what inspired you to dream so big and start your own business?
Um, Being stubborn enough to not want to go to work for anybody because I'm hard-headed and a control freak and all of those things. I knew that when I was young. Um, And I just really felt like there was more that I could do, you know, and I'm very self-driven, and I always have been. So the opportunity to just leap out early. I had actually started my business a little bit in college. I worked for a t-shirt store in the mall, and I would ask them, could I purchase the t-shirts and then paint them or decorate them? And I sold so many Christmas t-shirts that I couldn't go home. I couldn't leave my dorm room until Christmas Eve. So school had shut down, and I was still sneaking, hiding out in my dorm room because I had too many orders. And so the night before Christmas, I flew home. I bought a microwave for everybody in my family. That was a big deal. And so I just kind of knew, like, I think I'm onto something here. So when I got out of college, I just kind of continued on with that business. And, you know, I just thought it made sense. You know, youth is a beautiful thing. I really believe that. You know, now when somebody asks me, how much does it cost to start a business? I'm like, you know, millions. But then I have to remind myself, no, it doesn't. You know, just start, you know. So I have to remind myself that when you're young and you're, you know, got a lot of spirit and a lot of energy, you can really do anything you want to do. So now I tell people $20. You know, you need a GoDaddy account to get your business, and a Vistaprint account to get your business cards, and go do that. A domain name and a business cards. Go make it happen. So
I love it. I love it. Now that's perfect and it's simple. $20, a GoDaddy account, and a Vista account to get your business cards printed.
right,
Thank you so much for that. Thank
right.
you. Now, what I loved, you're an exceptional entrepreneur, and I am just so very impressed by your bio. But what I love is that you have decided to renovate properties in our urban communities. So,
Absolutely.
yes. So, why was it important for you to do that, to reinvest in the community that you serve?
It's really important for us because most of these communities are in these transitional phases anyway. People are moving back into the city, and the business, you know, we're being gentrified. And so when there are Black businesses there that have already been in existence, we need to really support them. So our tagline for our brand is, when we thrive, our community thrives. So that we really get committed to what it looks like. What does community tourism really look like? So I was just having this conversation this morning that I wouldn't open up a restaurant because there's 5 restaurants on my block. I just need to send people to those restaurants. So, you know, we have a soap maker that's on my block. There's no reason for me to buy soap because soap is right there with us. So it's really about committing yourself to that level of community engagement so that those people can help their children grow. You know, it's really just generational. How do we build generational wealth? And if we don't get committed to that concept, you know, we're in trouble. And I think that this is like even more of a moment. You know, this new Black Lives Matter movement just is such my bailiwick. I feel like this is a fantasy for me because now I really get to say, this is what we need to be doing. Black business matters. You know, we have to get committed to, you know, supporting one another unabashedly, all the time, as often as we can. Get committed to putting your dollars into the hands of Black people in your community. So, and the other issue was in Miami, we didn't just do a typical hotel. It is an extremely sexy South Beach kind of hotel in the middle of the hood. So, you know, even a year before we opened, people would look through the window and they're like, oh my God, you know, so it was this commitment to like, look, we are seriously going to bring it. And the children are so proud of us and the community is so proud of us. And, you know, I can remember one time I left the door open and somebody called me and said, Kristin, the doors are open. Why? Because the homeless guy checked the doors and to tell them that the doors were open. And you really feel embraced, you know, and it's been just a wonderful experience because I really think when you bring something to your neighborhood that is above and beyond what the expectation is, you know, the community can rally around you and get proud of that thing, you know. So That's what we tried to do. That's what we're doing in every single one that we build.
Wow, this is a wow moment. It
Yeah.
really is. First, with you sharing that it's important for us to support our communities. So you
Mhm.
don't have to go to Sam's, even if it costs a little less to buy soap, when you've got this creative person making soap on your street.
Absolutely.
And you've got these restaurants. You don't have to compete with the restaurants. You already own a hotel.
Right.
Support the restaurants. I love that. I love that. And you just moved right on in to what I wanted to talk about. And
Okay.
that is the Dunn's Josephine Hotel. I looked at that website. It is fabulous.
Thank
Those
you.
rooms
Thank
are
you.
fabulous. I love the names. So I'm going to have at least three questions out of this. And the first question is, how did you come up with the theme of the hotel?
So the community where we're in is called Overtown, and it was called the Harlem of the South. And Overtown got its name because Black performers could perform on South Beach, but they couldn't sleep there. So they had to come overtown to go to sleep. It's, if you go towards the water, we're right by the bridge. You can cross right over. So, we just wanted to like share the energy of the history of the community because it was the Harlem of the South. It's where everybody slept and stayed during Jim Crow. So we just took the bigger story of the Harlem Renaissance and then wove it into the local story of the Dunn's Josephine. So not only will you see pictures of the people that are iconic members of the Harlem Renaissance, but lots of pictures of Overtown and the amazing artists that were in Overtown. Locations of where artists performed and things like that. So it's just this wonderful kind of weave of the history of Overtown with the bigger story of the Harlem Renaissance. So
I
that
love
was it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I tell you, as I looked at the website and thought about what I'd say to you today, and it's wonderful that we want to be entrepreneurs and we say, okay, I'm going to build a hotel there. But you just didn't build a hotel, you built something fabulous. You focused on culture, you focused on art, you focused on music, you focused on our history. So, why
Absolutely.
was that important to you?
Well, I'm a historian by trade. So the opportunity, even with 6 acres, it was a historic site that was part of the Underground Railroad. So I've always been, passionate about African American history. And to be able to create spaces where you can get that experience without it being a museum experience, so we kind of say that it's a night at the museum. So you get to sleep in history as opposed to just walk through it and exit. And so what we really wanted were the rooms to be very immersive. So there's lots of art, there's lots of books, things that you can read and learn about the Harlem Renaissance. We even have a Harlem Renaissance channel on that you can learn about all the members of the Harlem Renaissance and what was going on in that era. So I just feel like, it's really important to tell our story and to tell our history so that generations understand, what all that we've gone through. Even this Black Lives Matter movement. I mean, now I'm listening to young people mention, that these are not new stories, that this is, this happened generations and generations ago. And they're really being able to connect to their own story and not stray away from it or not think, history's that was back in your day. Now they get the relevance of the struggle and that they're a part of a continuation of a struggle. So it's very important. And I think young people are really getting it now. I think they're really interested in Black history. I mean, I'm just overwhelmed by the number of young people that know their history now. I mean, this is a real revolution. So it's wonderful for me.
Yes, it is. I'm glad that the youth are getting involved now, and
Yes.
thank you so much for personally helping to remind us of our history. Now, let me ask, where I think you mentioned that the Dunn's Josephine Hotel is in Miami Beach.
It's in Miami, Florida. It's in downtown Miami. Yeah, in a historic community called Overtown.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. Now tell us, because I was so impressed by the names of the some of the suites. Share a few of the names of the suites with us.
So you can stay in the Josephine Baker room, you can stay in the Cab Calloway room, you can stay in the Zora Neale Hurston room. And when we chose the rooms, we were really focused on people that had an impact in the Harlem Renaissance in Miami. So all of the people that we selected either performed there or, Josephine Baker broke the color line. She refused to perform on South Beach until they let Black people come there. So her telling her story and her significance to Miami was important. Cab Calloway performed at the Lyric Theater. So we really picked people who had actually been in our little town, been in Overtown. So it wasn't just members. It took me a long time to peel through. Zora Neale Hurston, she's from Miami. Augusta Savage, not Miami, but from Florida. Augusta Savage is from Florida. So we really tried to tie it into these amazing members that are part of the Florida history.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you certainly did that, and I look forward to visiting for sure.
Wonderful. Come on down.
Yes, indeed, will do. Now, tell us a little about the 6 Acres Bed and Breakfast Inn.
Okay, so 6 Acres is my baby. It really is. It's like this amazing house. It's 6,000 square feet of a house that was part of the Underground Railroad. And so when I bought it, it was condemned. And once again, being young enough not to know how much it was going to cost to restore it allowed me to keep moving. So I purchased the house on a land contract because no bank would give me a loan for it because it was condemned. And so I just started, picking through it. The first thing I did is went and got a permit to renovate it. And we got started, and the city came up and said, oh, you got the wrong permit. You're on the vacant and condemned list. So before you can start, here's your list of things that you have to do to get the house ready. So we, the contractors, all of us about passed out. That pushed us back a year. But we had to, jack the house up and run steel beams and stabilize it. And but I never got discouraged because I knew the house and I knew the history. And I wanted to make sure that we saved a piece of history that was, directly connected to the Underground Railroad. So it's been open for 17 years now. It took 3.5 years to restore it. Going through a restoration again right now. We're just tearing off all the wood and replacing all the wood. But it's just a beautiful house with a tremendous amount of energy. You can feel the ancestral spirits. We have photos of spirits. It's just this wonderful, amazing house that just wraps you in its bosom and gives people a wonderful night's sleep. Everybody comes downstairs at breakfast and says how well they slept. So it's really just about continuing on with what the original owners of the house did. They were abolitionists who harbored slaves during prior to the end of slavery. So we say we house weary travelers just like they did. And so the house is being able to keep its original purpose. So, yeah.
Good. Now, where is the 6 Acres Bed and Breakfast Inn located?
It's in Cincinnati, Ohio. So in a major thoroughfare of the Underground Railroad. So we have 6 acres and we just actually bought the house next door 10 years ago or so. So it's actually 7 acres of land. And there's a creek bed that runs through the property. So you can actually physically walk the Underground Railroad when you come for a tour here. So we actually have a tour in partnership with the Parks Department, and our tour is called A Mile in Their Shoes, where you physically walk a 1.2 mile trail of the Underground Railroad. And it's daunting because nothing has been touched in 200 years. So you are physically feeling it. You're feeling it, and it's bone silent. And you can't hear anything. You just have to follow the waterway till you can on your way. But it's a powerful feeling to be in that creek bed and to understand what people were going through to get free. Enslaved Africans were really, committed to liberty. So, just being able to tell our story and just being able to have people experience what that feels like has been a really great opportunity for us. It's an amazing experience. It really is.
It is wonderful that you all can help people to walk that journey and
Yes.
be
Yeah.
reminded.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And now, I that brings me to one of the other questions that I had for you. You mentioned the fact that you persevered because they came at the last minute with the list of all the things that you had to do. After a year, it took another 4.5 years. Why is it important for you to persevere in spite of all odds? And what advice would you give other Black women to do so?
Um, I think that it is, our perseverance is pretty natural, you know. So I think usually if I'm exhausted or tired, I just can look back to my ancestors and get myself up. You know, if we can walk on foot to freedom, then surely I can stick in here and get this project completed. It's real simple to me. I can lay on my bed and say, really? You're tired? Now just, you need to go walk that creek bed for a minute, and then you'll remember you aren't tired. This is within our capacity to do. So, I just think that I always tell Black women that we've got it in us already, that the perseverance, the power. I mean, we are, amazing in our, we're starting all of these new businesses. We're, on the rise. Just keep doing what we're doing so that we are raising these strong, beautiful brown girls to do the same thing. I have a little girl who's 8, and she, you know, thinks she's, no question that she's going to be an entrepreneur. She even told me she wasn't going to college, that she was just going to run the business. And I'm like, oh no, you're going to college. But, she's completely got it. I got to go pick her business card up right now since we're going on a business trip. And I told her, you've got some tasks to do. I got some things she has to write down. And I said, if you're going to earn some money, then you gotta get it. And she said, well, mommy, I need my own business cards. And I said, all right. So we got her some business cards, and we're ready to go.
Now that is exceptional, and you are certainly training a child up in the way that she should go.
Well, she's always had 6 acres business cards. When she was 6, her card said co-owner and junior in, no, when she was 3, they said co-owner and junior innkeeper. And she couldn't read her name, but she could tell that there was a Z on her business card. And so I would say, girl, you got your cards, we got to get going. And, there was never any competition with me, work versus her, because she was part of it. So I always made sure that she felt like she had a job. I'd say, you got to go help me. You got to make sure that guests have a card. You got to make sure that everybody has a napkin, And she's like, I got you, mommy. So I figured out real quickly that it was going to be easier for her to join me in this journey than, there's no competition there. So I can tell her what we need every day, and she's fine with it. She's good.
Miss Kristin, that is wonderful advice. Oh my goodness! So we're gonna have to just do another story on you.
Yeah.
um, Giving your daughter business cards at the age of 3 and saying you're a co-owner, you're a
Yes.
junior innkeeper, you are vested in your family business.
Right.
So she knew as a tot that
Immediately.
that she's going to be an entrepreneur.
Yes. Yes. She knew immediately. And, we watched the Madam C.J. Walker story in the 4-part series. I mean, this kid's face was 2 inches from the TV. And when it was all over, she says, mommy, should I be a hair care girl, a fashion designer, or an ice cream maker? So tragically, hotelier didn't make the top 4. It may be because she's already been doing that for 10 years. But it was just she was so into it. I mean, just so excited. And she turns to me and she says, mommy, she has a Black-owned business like we do, doesn't she? I said, yes, she does. So she's very aware and very empowered by being an entrepreneur. She gets it. So she's got a new little business making jewelry, and she asked me for something yesterday, and I said, well, you need to go, finish up your jewelry job, and then maybe we sell some, you can get that. But you got to figure out how you're gonna make some money, girlfriend. So she's
Well,
up for it this weekend.
Well, congratulations to her on her new business venture,
Yes, her
selling
new
food.
venture. Yes.
Yes. And I tell you, Miss Kristen, I tell everybody that I meet that you need to watch that new Madam CJ Walker movie on
It is
Netflix.
excellent.
That is the best movie, and it prompted me to go read her great great granddaughter's book.
Yes.
Is her name Amelia Bundles?
Yeah,
Um, I,
Walker. Yeah, her last name
um,
is Walker. Yeah.
yes,
Yes. Amelia. It's not Amelia, but it's something with an A.
with an A. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I need to go back and get that right.
Yeah.
But her great great granddaughter wrote the book that inspired the movie.
Right.
And yes,
Right.
yes,
I
and
bought I bought that book maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and it was just wonderful. So when the movie came out, I just loved it. And I mean, talk about perseverance, right? I mean, again, if we come on, if she can do it, we can definitely do this. She can turn that business into $1 million business, and with the concept of collective empowerment. I mean, she did it with the concept that we all need to get back to, that she can create something that other women can make money doing. Or I loved everything about that. I love the lesson that it teaches us, that we can only get there together.
I did too. I did all working together. Great movie, great
Absolutely.
movie. Now,
Yeah.
Miss Kristen, let me ask you, what does onward and upward mean to you?
Whew. In this moment, onward and upward means keep striving, keep growing. I mean, I even believe in this pandemic. um, you question, do I pause or do I keep moving forward? And you kind of have to line yourself up, get your paperwork and everything back together. But it's, for me, it is onward and upward. I'm looking for the next 10 projects right now, identifying cities, going to cities this weekend to identify where do we want to launch our next project. And onward and upward means let's keep going, let's keep driving ourselves. And even when I'm tired, I'm not tired of extending the opportunity for my community to grow. I understand that every time I open one, I get the opportunity to empower people in a certain community. So I'm not by myself. I'm in partnership with everybody that's around me that's got the same kind of mission and vision. So this is our moment. This is our moment.
Yes, indeed. Oh my goodness, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And Miss Christian, um, how does your faith guide you?
Whew, forever. I mean, I really believe that God is with us. I mean, all the time. I believe that we just need to get quiet, have conversations, really have conversations. And I know, as an entrepreneur, sometimes it doesn't work as quickly as you thought it was. Or I say sometimes I'll start to pray, and then I'll say, oh, did I pay the gas and electric bill? Because, as soon as you give me a quiet minute, then all the other things start seeping in there. And then, after 30 minutes, I'm like, God, did you hear what I was saying? But I really believe that, our faith is what drives us. I mean, it's what keeps us safe. It's it's like what gives us our our guidebook of how we need to go. And I think when you maintain that understanding that God is always with you, your ancestors are always with you, then you really can't go wrong. And and ask for that guidance. Because I think, a lot of times I will go to sleep with no answers but a prayer, and wake up in the morning and you've got the answers.
You are such an inspirational woman, and I'm excited about the viewers listening to you and hearing what you have to say. And I tell you, you are successful, you're accomplished, and what's important is that it's important to you to reinvest in the community that you serve, for you to
Absolutely.
care for others, for you to share that, okay, I've got this hotel that's open now. Why don't I reach out to people who are underprivileged? And that was really, really, really kind of you.
Well, thank
Indeed,
you. Thank
indeed.
you.
Well, I tell you, it's been a blessing talking to you. Thanks for taking time out of your really busy schedule to speak with me.
Thank you for
And
having me on.
we yes, we want to keep following you. We want to make reservations at the Dunn's Josephine
Yeah,
Hotel. We
come.
want to learn all about our history at the 6 Acres Bed and Breakfast Inn. So, would you share your websites with us and your social media sites with us?
Yes, so all of them are at Duns Josephine or at 6 Acres, but our website for 6 Acres is 6 Acres, and it's spelled out SIXACRES BB for bedandbreakfast.com. And then our website for the Duns Josephine is duns-josephinehotel.com. So,
Ex-
yes,
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, thank you so very much for being here with us today.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.